All right, guys, let's get rolling. Good evening. Larry, glad to see you on, man. So fired up. Hopefully Jackson gets home soon and he can tap in. We don't make these too long. We're about 10, 12, 15 minutes tops because I know everybody has a short attention span and there's a lot going on at 7:30 at night on a Monday. So we're going to jump right into it. The rest of these guys have been on before. Fellas, I know nobody has their camera on, and I'm just kind of in a standing mood tonight. So instead of sitting down and being more reserved, I'm going to move around a little bit. Probably should have propped the camera up so it's not looking up, but regardless, here we are. Um, you guys that don't have your cameras on, which is nobody, and that's totally fine. Don't feel like you have to. But some nights I'm just kind of giving you something, right? It's like, hey, here's 10 minutes of just kind of more or less me talking. Tonight I want to be a little more interactive. So again, you don't have to turn your camera on, but I would like for you to speak, right? To be thinking about something that you can add to the conversation, because what we're talking about tonight impacts every single one of us, right? The title is Powering Through: The Secret to Doing the Work When Motivation Fades. Man, every one of us goes through that. Whether you're a business owner or a ball player, or you're just trying to get through your academic career and be a student, every one of us lacks motivation at times, but that doesn't take away from the things that we have to get done, right? You still got to do them. They're still there. They're lingering over your head, and you're not motivated to get out of bed and do it. But it's a double-edged sword, because you know that if I don't do it, it's almost like digging that pit we've talked about time and time again. Like, it just gets worse and worse and worse, and eventually it's so hard to get out of. You want to talk about really not having motivation when the peak of the mountain is so far away that we can't even hardly see it anymore. Man, how do you get out of that place of despair? Well, the goal is to not even get there. Woody Hunt, my college coach, my last 2 years, Hall of Fame coach, like not just like small school Hall of Fame, but like up there with the best of the best. He would always say, just get through it, right? You'd have these assistant coaches. And for you guys that are striving to play college baseball, you'll learn that assistant coaches are your friends. Typically, they're the ones who are hard on you in certain ways. They push you. They kind of just like, they're your boys in certain regards. And then the head coach is more like the guy that you just never talk to. And if you are talking to him, you might be in trouble, right? Well, Woody was amazing because it was almost flip-flop. The assistant coaches were the hard ones on us, and Woody would just come by and give you like a sly, like, hey, bro, I see you. I got you. I know what you're going through. And that was always so encouraging to me. And I took so much from that. Woody would come by on hard days. He probably wouldn't even want me calling him Woody because he's just coached everybody in the world. But Woody would come by on hard days when we're just struggling, or you're having a bad round, or you're sick, or whatever it might be. Your bullpen's not very good. Woody would come by at the perfect moment, pat you on the back, and say, just get through it. Just get through it. And he had such a cool, calm demeanor that it was so encouraging, because you knew that tomorrow's a new day. That if I can just get through today, get through this little slump I'm in, get through this little depression I'm in, get through this lack of motivation today, that I will be blessed with good sleep. I will wake up tomorrow, the sun will be shining, and I can power through to get to ultimately where I'm trying to go, or to ultimately get to where I'm trying to go. Woody was great about that. And it made me feel incredibly humbled and thankful in those moments, because it made me realize that he knew what I was going through, that I wasn't always motivated. Something I've learned that helps me understand that there are brighter days ahead, and that I do have the ability to power through or just get through it, is knowing why that I'm lacking motivation in the first place, knowing why that I wake up without that intense burning desire to just get after it like I do most days. And I've got a few that I've come up with, but I want to hear if any of you guys have some reasons why you're not motivated sometimes. So just throw them at the wall. Why are you lacking motivation at times in your life? And it can be any one of you. Just throw it against the wall. If
When
you're
like a
speaking, I
challenge
can't
is
hear
like
you.
so hard and like the expectation is like through the roof.
Okay, so overwhelmed. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Overwhelmed would be a good way. You just so much, right? You're just overwhelmed. What else? Anybody else got something why they lack motivation?
Sometimes just losing focus.
Okay. Lack of focus. Anybody else? So I've got a few. I've got a few. I get tired. I just flat out get tired. And it makes it really hard for me to get out of bed and go to work. I get hungry. Fellas, when I'm hungry, any of y'all get hangry? I get hangry, right? When I'm hungry, man, makes it hard for me to be motivated to do anything else. I get lonely. Fellas, I get lonely, especially now that I'm not playing baseball every day. I sit up here at this facility and I have work to do, and it's like, I got to get this done. It's a laundry list of stuff, and I'm just lonely. That's normal. People experience that. Some other things that I've gone through that have kept me from being motivated. I've lacked vision at times, which speaks to Jude's focus, right? It's like it's hard to be focused on the step ahead of me when I don't even really understand the direction that I'm going. I've lost the vision of what I'm doing this for. And when you don't know why you're doing the things you're doing, you don't want to do them. You're just simply not motivated. And then the last one I thought about, things in my life that have impacted my motivation, are setbacks. Setbacks, whether it's injury or not making a team that I expected to make, or man, just getting grounded. Like I remember when I was y'all's age, I would get grounded for something not so smart. And all of a sudden I'd miss a couple practices and I'd get set back. And then it just kind of like, what's the point? You know, man, I'm not set up for success right now because I've been set back. And so what's the point of trying? But those are all real things. And Jonathan, that speaks to your overwhelmed feeling, right? When the mountain's so high to climb, you're like, dude, this is just too much, not worth it. Write these things down for me, guys. These are a few ways to get out of that. Right? A few ways to overcome those feelings of being tired and hungry and lonely and lacking vision and being set back and being overwhelmed and having a lack of focus. Here's some ways that are surefire ways to overcome those feelings when you're lacking motivation, to power through. All right. One is accountability. What we're doing here tonight, this is accountability. These men, whether you know them or not, they're accountability partners for you. They're friends. They're people who love you and care about you and want the best for you. And they're on the similar journey that you're on. And so therefore, they understand what you're going through and they understand how you feel, and they can work to keep you accountable. Does that make sense? I would encourage each of you to find accountability partners. I'm not talking about buddies. I'm not talking about friends. You don't even really have to like the guy all the time. Some of the best accountability partners I've ever had, I didn't really care for him that much. But by golly, if I didn't get out of bed and go up there and work hard, I was probably going to lose to that guy because he was just as competitive, if not more competitive than me. And so in a weird kind of way, he kept me accountable because even when I was sick and tired, if I knew he was out there working, I'd get my butt up and I'd go work too. Right. So accountability partners don't always have to be your best friends, but you got to find them and you got to voice that to them. I wrote down the dream. Right. I used vision earlier. When you're lacking vision, you're it's really hard for you to be motivated to take one step. So have a dream, have that vision in place, understand where you're going and what you're striving for and why you're putting in all this work. And so when you are feeling a lack of motivation, you know that, man, all I got to do today is just power through, because the only way that I could be derailed from achieving that dream or staying on the path to achieve that vision is if I just simply don't do the work. So if I got 80% today and I just got to get out of bed and go show up and put forth the 80% that I have available, that's going to keep me on track to achieve the goals and dreams and vision that I've set for myself. So make sure that dream and that vision and that goal is clear cut, so that when you're lacking motivation, you can simply remind yourself there are better days ahead. I'm going somewhere. And the last one is just sheer discipline, fellas. Discipline's an interesting word. When we talk about discipline, we think about our parents getting onto us, being in trouble, that teacher that's real hard, just disciplinarian, right? That's not the discipline we're talking about. We're talking about the discipline to wake up every day, regardless of how you feel, what you look like, how bad of a haircut you got, and suiting up and going to work. No matter if it's cold outside, which we're about to experience in the next few months, about to get cold, boys. That don't mean you can't get out of bed and get to work. It just means you got to put on an extra layer, right? When it's 105 degrees outside, you guys are still disciplined and going to the ballpark and going and putting in the work and doing the things you got to do, even when you're pouring sweat. Discipline is doing it relentlessly, no matter how you feel. Lou Holtz. Anybody know who Lou Holtz is? Somebody say, yeah, I know who Lou Holtz is. Lou Holtz is he's a Hall of Fame, another Hall of Fame coach, one of the winningest coaches in college football history. We got a book here called Winning Every Day by Lou Holtz. He was at Notre Dame. And there's a spot in here. It says, who can you count on? At the end of the day, who can you count on? Lou Holtz says discipline. He says, you can't talk about sacrifice without mentioning discipline. Discipline is not what you do to yourself, it's what you do for yourself. Without self-discipline, we cannot make appropriate choices. It says, watch the television news. You'll see astronauts flipping through space and oceanographers burrowing into the depths of our seas. Science is teaching us how to master the land, air, and ocean, yet we seem to have a difficult time learning how to master ourselves. He says, it is the most important victory we can ever gain. I admire people who have the self-discipline to do whatever it takes to excel. When opportunity presents itself, these people act. What happens when opportunity is not around, which is what we're talking about tonight? When you're lacking motivation, these people go out and find it. They simply go out and find it. So if you're lacking motivation, when you're lacking the resources you need in the moment to get up and go, discipline says, get up and go find it. Get up and go find it. Something I love about that get up and go find it mentality is, one, you don't dwell in a place of excuse very long, because you start to realize, like, dude, I got 2 feet. I got a brain. God woke me up this morning, and I have the ability to go out and do something. Right? It may not be exactly what I planned on doing, because, man, that just sounds terrible today. I don't want no part of it. But if I just go do something, right? Maybe I find a spark. Maybe I find just a hint of motivation, or the motivation that I need to just power through, to carry on. So I'll give you guys a story. I'll close with this. I've been trying to go to the gym a few days a week, right? I got a gym. If you've been to the Futures Association, there's a gym literally. I mean, I walk out of my office and into the gym. Like, it's that far away. And it's hard for me to go to the gym, right? Because I start getting, I lack motivation for the gym because I have so many other things going on over here. That's that sense of being overwhelmed that Jonathan was talking about. And so I joined a gym closer to my house so that I can get up, go to the gym closer to my house. I can do it with my wife because she's my accountability partner. And even when I don't feel like it, there's still kind of a reason to go that way and get my body moving, and it makes me more productive here. But this morning, Monday morning, lacking motivation to go to the gym, fellas. Like, I got way too much to do this week. I start running through excuses in my mind of all the things that I got to get done, and I don't have time, which is the worst excuse ever. If you ever talk to me, don't talk about not having time. All these things are running through my head this morning, and then they carried over into the shower, right? And I'm dragging, and I know a cup of coffee is not going to do it, so I reach in the fridge and I grab this little energy drink that I bought at Vitamin Shop for $1. And guess what is on the back of the can? Let me read it. Champion mentality is not about winning or losing. It's about taking responsibility for your losses, just as you do your wins. It's doing the work when you least want to, when no one is watching. It doesn't mean you're motivated all the time. It simply means you have no quit. Is that God or is that God? I see God winks in my life. There's no coincidence on this can. I choose to believe that's God speaking to me through what we call a God wink, where I wake up lacking motivation. I'm given every excuse in the book why not to do something. Instead, I persevere and I simply do something. I simply move in the right direction. I take a shower and I brush my teeth, and I make the conscious effort to put some caffeine in my body, because I put some caffeine in my body, I know I'm going to do something. I'm definitely not going to lay back in bed. And lo and behold, on the back of a doggone energy drink, there's an affirmation. Now I got to go. I ain't got no choice. It's time. Guys, I love you so much. I'm so proud of you for showing up, for being involved, being engaged, for working hard. Jonathan over here with this camera on was here 15 minutes ago getting his throwing work in, and now he's sitting here with us. Wow. You guys are all working so hard, and I'm so proud of each and every one of you. I'm thankful you're here. Larry, welcome. Thank you for coming for the first time. If you got something out of this, please share it. Get Merrick on here, get the boys on here. Let's flood this thing up with guys every week so that we can be leaders in our community, leaders in our schools, and love the people around us. Guys, I love you so much. Feel free to hit me up with a text, send it in the group, put it in the chat, whatever it is. You got any questions? I'm always here for you. I love you guys. Have a good night.